In the coastal lowlands of Kenya, where the sacred Kaya forests once guarded the secrets of the Mijikenda people, a woman's voice rose above the silence of fear and submission. Her name was Mekatilili Menza, and though she lived in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, her defiance still reverberates across the history of Kenya. She was not born into power, nor did she inherit a throne. She was a widow, a mother, and a daughter of the Giriama people. Yet, in her lifetime, she became one of the fiercest symbols of resistance against colonial domination. A woman who dared to confront the British Empire at a time when women were rarely seen as leaders in public life. Mekatilili was born around 1860 in Mutsara Watsatsu, in present-day Kilifi County. She was the only daughter in a family of 5 children. Her childhood was marked by tragedy and loss. One of her brothers, Morandu, was kidnapped by Arab slave traders and never returned. This wound, inflicted not only on her family but on her entire community, left an indelible mark on her. It was a reminder of the vulnerability of her people to external forces, forces that sought to exploit, enslave, and erase. As she grew, Mekatilili married a man named Dayeka at Langobaya, but she was widowed early. Widowhood in Giriama society carried with it a paradoxical freedom. While women were generally excluded from leadership, widows were granted certain privileges, including the right to speak before elders. Mekatilili used this space to amplify her voice, and in time, her voice became the rallying cry of her people. The early 20th century was a period of profound upheaval for the Giriama. The British colonial administration sought to impose its authority through taxation, forced labor, and the seizure of land. The fertile lands of the Giriama were coveted for plantations, and the colonial state demanded that young men leave their homes to work as laborers on European farms or in distant towns. This policy threatened not only the economic survival of the Giriama, but also their cultural fabric. To the Giriama, land was not merely soil. It was the foundation of identity, spirituality, and continuity. Mekatilili understood this deeply. She saw that the erosion of land rights and the imposition of foreign labor systems would unravel the very essence of Giriama life. She also recognized the creeping influence of Christianity and Western education, which, while offering some opportunities, also threatened to displace indigenous traditions and beliefs. For Mekatilili, resistance was not only political, but cultural. It was about defending the soul of her people. Her moment of defiance came into sharp focus on 13th August 1913, when the colonial administrator, Arthur Champion, convened a meeting with the Giriama elders. Champion demanded that the Giriama provide laborers for colonial projects. It was at this gathering that Mekatilili stood up, her voice cutting through the air, and declared her refusal to comply. She swore an oath that she would never cooperate with the colonial authorities. In a society where women were expected to remain silent in such forums, her act was nothing short of revolutionary. Mekatilili's power lay not only in her words, but in her ability to mobilize. She traveled from village to village, performing the Kafudu dance, a ritual traditionally reserved for funerals. By repurposing this sacred dance, she transformed mourning into resistance, grief into solidarity. Crowds gathered wherever she went, drawn by her charisma and conviction. With the help of the traditional medicine man, Wanje wa Mwadori Kola, she administered oaths of unity, the Mukushekushe oath among women and the Fisi oath among men. These oaths bound the Giriama to resist colonial demands, to refuse labor conscription and to protect their land. The British response was swift and brutal. They seized Giriama land, burned homes, and destroyed Kaya Fungo, one of the most sacred sites of the Giriama. This repression sparked the Giriama Uprising of 1913 to 1914, known locally as Kondo ya Chembe. Though the uprising was ultimately suppressed, it marked one of the earliest organized acts of resistance against colonial rule in Kenya. Mekatilili herself was arrested on 17 October 1913 and exiled to Kisii in western Kenya, hundreds of kilometers from her homeland. Yet, in a testament to her resilience, she escaped captivity and walked back to the coast. Colonial records suggest she was later arrested again and exiled to Kismayu in present-day Somalia, from where she also returned. Each time, she reappeared among her people, undeterred, continuing her campaign of defiance. Her repeated escapes became the stuff of legend, reinforcing her image as a woman who could not be subdued by distance or chains. To the Giriama, she was more than a leader. She was a living embodiment of resistance. A reminder that the spirit of a people cannot be exiled. Even after the uprising was crushed, Mekatilili continued to oppose colonial policies. She resisted taxation, land alienation, and the erosion of cultural practices. She remained a thorn in the side of the colonial administration until her death in 1924. By then, she had lived long enough to see the seeds of resistance she planted begin to take root across Kenya. Mekatilili's legacy is profound. She was among the first women in Kenya to lead an organized resistance against colonialism, challenging both imperial power and patriarchal norms. Her leadership demonstrated that women could be central figures in political struggle, not merely supporters on the margins. She preserved the dignity of her people at a time when dignity was under siege. Today, Mekatilili wa Menza is remembered as one of Kenya's earliest freedom fighters. Her story is celebrated annually during Mekatilili Day in Kilifi County, where her descendants and admirers gather to honor her courage. Statues and monuments commemorate her, and her name is invoked in schools, cultural festivals, and political speeches. She has become a symbol not only of anti-colonial resistance, but also of women's empowerment and cultural pride. Her life reminds us that resistance is not always waged with weapons. Sometimes it is waged with words, with dances, with oaths, and with the sheer refusal to bow. Mekatilili wa Menza's defiance was not about seeking glory for herself, but about ensuring that her people would not be erased from their land and their history. In the end, her story is not just about the Giriama or about Kenya. It is about the universal struggle of communities to defend their identity, their dignity, and their future against forces that seek to dominate them. It is about the power of one voice, rising in a time of silence, to awaken a people to their strength. Mekatilili wa Menza lived and died in the coastal lands of Kenya, but her spirit belongs to the world. She stands among the pantheon of women who, against all odds, reshaped the destiny of their nations. Her life is a testament to the truth that freedom is never given, it is claimed, often by those least expected to lead.